Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Pan. The top stories that we're tracking for you this evening. Another day of heavy volatility on Dalal Street. Markets end in the red for the sixth day in a row after seesawing between negative and positive territory. Mid-caps and small-cap indices end around 0.5% lower. A late surge puts Bank Nifty in the green. Investors continue to pour money into mutual funds despite the market volatility. Inflows into equity funds near record highs of 40,000 crores in January, with large cap and small cap funds getting the lion's share. But safe haven buying into gold spikes. Gold ETFs see record inflows at over 3,700 crores. Big relief for Kotak Mahindra Bank. RBI lifts its supervisory restrictions imposed on the bank after 10 months, allows it to onboard new customers through its mobile and online banking platforms. Also lifts the embargo on the issuance of fresh credit cards. The RBI embargo was estimated to cost the bank 450 crores annually. It's a good news, bad news situation on the macros. India's retail inflation delivers a pleasant surprise as it slips to a 5-month low of 4.31% in January. But industrial output slows to 3.2% in December, dragged down by weakness in manufacturing and consumer non-durables. Simpler tax reporting terminology, tighter norms for virtual digital assets, including cryptocurrencies, and fewer sections. CNBC-TV18 reviews the 622-page draft of the new income tax bill, which is scheduled to be tabled in the Lok Sabha. As expected, no rate changes in the bill. Prudential PLC evaluates potential listing of ICICI Prudential's asset management company, says it's looking at a partial divestment of its shares. ICICI Bank says it intends to retain majority shareholding in ICICI Pru AMC. Prime Minister Modi's two-day France trip comes to an end. The two nations signed key agreements in the field of civil nuclear energy, technology and environmental sustainability. An agreement was also reached to host 10 Indian startups at Station F, France's leading startup incubator. The Prime Minister is on his way to the US. He's scheduled to meet President Trump at the White House tomorrow. Trade ties, defense collaboration and tariffs top the agenda. The Gaza ceasefire is on thin ice. Israel's Prime Minister threatens that his forces will resume intense fighting in the Strip if Hamas does not return hostages on Saturday as promised. The threat follows Hamas's indication that it may delay the release since Israel violated key provisions of the truce. Indian Air Force Chief Marshal A.P. Singh calls out HAL's delivery record on the Tejas Mach 1A fighter jet, says he's just not confident of the company. The management clarifies that the delays are due to technical issues along with supply chain problems, which have since been sorted. Assures that deliveries will begin soon. The Maharatna also reports a strong Q3 performance. The Karnataka government gets investment commitments worth 5 lakh crore rupees on day one of its 3-day investor summit. Close to 70% of these are for the green energy sector, the biggest commitment from M&M, JSW Group and Tata Power. All of that and more coming up for you in just a bit. But let's talk about the market action. In equities, we're in for another highly volatile session with markets seeing some large swings between positive and negative territory. But at the end of the day, the markets closed in the red for the sixth day, though off their intraday lows quite substantially. So that's the story. Flat close for both the Sensex and the Nifty. The Nifty Bank, in fact, closing in the green, but the mid-cap index down by about 130 points. But today's move does not tell you about the kind of pain that the mid-caps and small caps have been seeing over the last several trading sessions. In the currency market, the rupee opened on a firm footing, showed some signs of early strength. However, that was short-lived. The domestic currency gave up early gains, ending 6 paise weaker against the dollar. Dealers say a lot of this reversal came on the back of dollar buying by banks on behalf of importers, and point to the possibility of RBI action supporting the rupee at around 86.9 to the dollar. But going back to the equity markets for just a bit, investors continue to pour money into the mutual fund route through January, and that's despite the market volatility. Inflows into equity funds closing in on record highs of 40,000 crores. Large cap and small cap funds receiving the lion's share of this amount. And interestingly, gold exchange traded funds have seen record inflows of over 3,700 crore rupees, and that is a massive jump there. That's the equity inflows for you for the month of January, almost at 40,000 crores. And gold ETFs are month on month a massive surge, up from about 600 crores to over 3,700 crore rupees. That's the picture for gold. But here's the big story that broke late this evening. A 10th-month regulatory cloud over Kotak Mahindra Bank has been lifted. The Reserve Bank of India has lifted the supervisory restrictions that it imposed on Kotak Mahindra Bank allowing it to once again onboard new customers through its mobile and online banking platforms and restart the issuance of fresh credit cards. Ritu has more details and joins us now. Ritu, good news coming in finally for Kotak Mahindra Bank.
Yes, major relief coming in for Kotak Mahindra Bank, with the Reserve Bank of India finally lifting supervisory restrictions on the bank after nearly 10 months. Remember, it was in April last year that RBI had placed an embargo on the bank because of deficiencies in their IT infrastructure and had asked Kotak Mahindra Bank to stop issuing any fresh credit cards and stop onboarding any customers through their digital and mobile banking channels. But now, on the basis of the submissions that the bank has made, the Reserve Bank of India said it was satisfied and is therefore lifted the restrictions with immediate effect, which brings immense relief to the bank. Remember, at the time that this embargo was imposed, almost 95% of all new personal loans and 99% of new credit cards were being sourced digitally by Kotak Mahindra Bank, and therefore this is going to bring a lot of relief. As for the cost of this embargo, the management had estimated that annually this embargo would cost them about 450 crore rupees, but it's not even been 12 months. In about 10 months' time, now the embargo has been lifted. The other area of concern had been that Kotak Mahindra Bank had been relatively slow when it comes to branch expansion, opening only about 350 branches in the last 4 years. The plan was to open 200 more in this financial year. Now we'll have to see what the bank does to change its strategy now that the embargo has been lifted finally.
All right, Ritu Jack Kotak, the co-head of Kotak's 811, the bank's digital banking business, welcomed the RBI's decision. He spoke to us exclusively after the RBI decision came through. Take a look.
Because it's been 10 months in the works and now the ban has finally been lifted. Just your first reaction, Jay, because you're looking at 811.
It's the first time hearing of it,
yes.
So I can't comment right now. I just got off the ban. But I guess it's good news.
We wanted to understand if the bank will continue with digital strategy, because the branch opening had slowed down just about 350 in the last 4 years, and now the management had indicated about 200 new branches may be opened in this financial year. So what's going to be the strategy going forward to gain the lost ground?
So I can't comment on anything related to the bank here right now, because I just got off a panel talking about some other stuff, and it's obviously been big news. So I'd rather process the news, understand what has been communicated, and then talk, please.
All right. Could you just, if you could talk about the kind of work that the bank has been doing in the background these 10 months, to bring the technology up to speed to be able to satisfy, the RBI conditions?
Again, same answer. I believe that the bank has done a lot over the last 10 months, but not in a position to really comment on it right now.
Well, and Kotak Mahindra Bank has commented welcoming the RBI's decision. As I pointed out, it is significant relief for the bank. They will now be able to onboard new customers online as well as offline, and of course get back into issuing credit cards as well. British insurer Prudential PLC is evaluating a potential listing of ICICI Prudential Asset Management Company. The company said it plans to divest a portion of its holding. ICICI Bank has said that it intends to retain majority shareholding. Yash is here with more. Yash.
Well, Shireen, after 27 years of this joint venture between the ICICI Group and Prudential PLC, Prudential PLC earlier today expressed its intention to sell a partial holding which it has in ICICI Prudential Asset Management Company through the listing of ICICI Pru AMC on Indian exchanges. What it exactly said is that it is evaluating a potential listing of ICICI Prudential AMC. It is looking at a partial divestment through this particular IPO, and listing of ICICI Prudential AMC will be subject to market conditions and the requisite approvals. They will provide further updates as and when there is some process which takes place as far as the plan is concerned. ICICI Bank has also informed the exchanges that they intend to retain a majority shareholding in ICICI Prudential AMC. As I said, it's a 27-year-old joint venture started in 1998. ICICI Bank holds about 51% stake in this particular joint venture. They do not intend to sell a single share as far as the IPO is concerned. It will be all from Prudential AMC's side, which holds about 49% 49% stake, and ICICI Prudential AMC, whenever the listing happens, will be the fourth listed entity from ICICI Group after ICICI Bank, ICICI Lombard, ICICI Prudential Life Insurance, and now, of course, the AMC business. In terms of the asset under management and the size of the company, it is the second largest AMC in the country, with an AMC asset under management of about 8.98 lakh crore rupees. This is as on December 2024. There are a few listed AMCs as far as India is concerned: HDFC AMC, Nippon Life India AMC, UTI AMC, Aditya Birla Sun Life AMC, and Shriram Asset Management. And now talks of the next one in the form of ICICI Prudential Life AMC.
All right, Gash, many thanks for joining, guys. The Supreme Court has granted US-based investor Danny Gaikwad 24 hours more to deposit 600 crore rupees as proof of funds for the acquisition of Revoir. He now has till 2 p.m. tomorrow to deposit the amount. The court had originally asked Gaikwad to deposit the money by today. However, Gaikwad's attorneys asked the court for an extension owing to procedural delays in remitting the money into India. Remember, Gaikwad has made a 5,000 crore rupee competing offer for Revoir's acquisition. Defence Aerospace PSU Hindustan Aeronautics was put in the spot after Air Chief Marshal AP Singh pulled up the company for continued delays in delivery of aircraft, especially the Tejas Mach 1A aircraft. The IF chief said he was not confident about HAL meeting timelines. Remember, the company was tasked with the manufacturing of the Tejas, India's first indigenous light combat jet, and deliveries were supposed to commence by March 2024. Shares of Hindustan Aeronautics dropped in early trade but recovered marginally after the company explained that the delays were on account of technical issues along with global supply chain problems, which have since been sorted. It's also promised to begin aircraft deliveries soon.
We got 200 aircraft per order, then we still are doing work. But this is about dependency. I can have an engine part. That is totally understood. If we ever to now also we just ordering 90 bikes. The order. When you go that if the life of the aircraft we need is almost 2 ETL per aircraft from aircraft 3. The 2.5 is what we do by. This is already ordering that penny. It's the naya possible. Our requirements and what our worries. We have to alleviate those worries and make us more markets. We will at the moment. I am just not confident of HNE.
We have had a setback in terms of engine supplies from General Electric, and they've been delayed since August 23. Now GE has assured us that they will deliver these engines from March 25 onwards, and we expect 12 engines in this year. So I think the technical issues are behind us, and we will be able to deliver these aircraft.
That's the clarification there from HAL. One more reason for the pullback in the shares of HAL was the strong quarterly performance that it delivered. Net profit up 14% to over 1,400 crore rupees, helped by a near 15% jump in revenues and a strong order book, especially from the government. The company also declared an interim dividend of 25 rupees a share. This works out to a total payout of over 1,600 crore rupees. The government holds 72% stake in the company and will get nearly 1,200 crore rupees as part of that. And staying with earnings, auto giant Ashok Leyland has reported a strong set of numbers for Q3, beating street estimates across all fronts. Net profit up 31%, margin staying in the double digits for the 8th quarter in a row, and revenue growing 2.2% year-on-year. The company says its performance has been helped by strong exports and robust demand for its alternate fuel products under the Switch brand. Japan's SoftBank has surprised the street by delivering a quarterly loss of $2.4 billion. This as investments under its Vision Fund fell into the red. The Vision Fund clocked a loss of nearly 353 billion yen. That's $2.3 billion. Remember, it had posted gains in the previous 2 quarters. The value of its Vision Fund fell by 3.7%. For this fund, the fall in the share price of public companies like India's Ola Electric and Norway's AutoShare have overshadowed a jump in the stock of Indian food delivery firm Swiggy, which listed in November last year. The firm's top boss, Masayoshi Son, said the company was now repositioning itself to take advantage of the AI boom. It's doubled down on this bet with multi-billion-dollar investments and a tie-up with OpenAI. SoftBank has also committed $3 billion annually to integrate AI across its businesses. Chinese tech giant Baidu plans to release the next generation of its artificial intelligence model in the second half of the year. According to a report by CNBC, the model, which will be called Ernie 5.0, will be able to process and convert between different content formats, including video, images, and audio. Remember, Baidu was the first major Chinese tech company to roll out a ChatGPT-like chatbot called Ernie in March 2023. India's retail inflation eased to a 5-month low in January. This was largely led by the decline in food prices. However, India's industrial output fell in December. Latha joins us now with the key macro data for today. Latha, good news as far as inflation is concerned, not so great on IIP.
Absolutely welcome numbers at 4.3 compared to our poll of 4.53%, the January CPI. And more importantly, just look at the past 4 months. It's gone from 6.2 in October to 5.5 in November to 5.2 in December and now 4.3. So the trajectory of falling inflation is extremely pleasing for a governor who has just cut rates. The chances are that the Reserve Bank's forecast for Jan-Feb-March at 4.4 could even be undershot. By a bit, by a smidge, because vegetable prices and pulses prices have come down. That's the important part. The inflation fall is driven by food inflation, which has come at 6% compared to the CNBC poll, CNBC-TV18 poll of 6.7%, much lower than the 8.5% of December. In fact, in the past 18 months, inflation has remained between 8 and 11%, and therefore the 6% is an extremely pleasing number. Month on month, two important items contributing to food inflation have fallen. Pulses have fallen by 2% in Jan over December, and vegetables have fallen by 15% in Jan over December. Vegetable prices falling in winter months is on expected lines, but the extent of the fall is very important considering the situation in which the monetary policy is. The expectation, therefore, from the broad market is that the April rate cut is practically in the bag. The additional information I can give is we spoke to Ramesh Chand, the Niti Aayog agriculture member, agriculture expert, and he believes that food inflation is going to be low single digits all the way up until April. And thereafter, of course, we depend on the monsoon forecast. But if that is the case, then the expectation of the April rate cut is well founded. So on inflation, very good numbers. Core inflation at 3.7 is more or less on expected lines. On IIP, the 3.2% for December is a disappointment. Our poll was 3.9%, almost 4. So that is a disappointment. Their consumer non-durables at minus 7.6 is the big disappointment. But capital goods have grown at 10.3%, which is very positive. And that's probably explained by the fact that the government spent like no tomorrow in December. Their capex expenditure increased very sharply, and that has perhaps contributed to the very good capex number we have. Otherwise, industrial output overall is a bit of a disappointment, but the overall picture for state of the economy is positive. With inflation coming down, we should expect a boost to growth by way of a rate cut in April.
All right, Latha, many thanks. A simpler tax reporting terminology, tighter norms for virtual digital assets, including cryptocurrencies, and fewer sections. These are some of the salient features of the new income tax bill, which is scheduled to be tabled in the Lok Sabha tomorrow. CNBC-TV18 has reviewed a copy of the bill, which runs into 622 pages. The bill has proposed no changes whatsoever to any tax incidents, meaning no tax rates have changed either for individuals or for corporates. So do remember that. There's lots of stuff online that suggests otherwise, but there has been no change as far as tax rates go. Timsy is standing by. She's analysed the documents and she joins us now with the key features of the new income tax bill. Timsy.
The new income tax bill proposed to be introduced in the Parliament has now been formally circulated to the members of the Parliament. And as per a copy accessed by CNBC-TV18, the bill runs over 600 pages, proposing Income Tax Act 2025, replacing the earlier Income Tax Act of 1961. The bill proposes the new act to come into effect from 1st of April 2026. Divided into 23 chapters, 536 sections and 16 schedules, the bill proposes simple terms like tax year and financial year, replacing the terms such as assessment year and previous year. As per the bill, tax year would mean 12 months period of the financial year starting from 1st of April. The bill has proposed no change in terms of any tax incidents, meaning no tax rates have changed, either for individuals or for corporates or any other income that we report under the income tax returns. The concept of explanations and provisos have been removed for ease in interpretation and understanding. Apart from compliance and procedural changes, the bill proposes introduction of Taxpayers Charter 2 in the Act. The bill has also proposed detailed sections suggesting that foreign companies to be deemed residents. The bill also proposes to include virtual digital assets in the definition of property. However, the tax rate remains the same here again at 30%. The bill has further proposed stronger measures on digital compliance. The new income tax regime for individuals proposed in the budget has been included here. This continues along with the existing old tax regime, which also runs parallelly in the system as per the bill. Enhanced penalties for misreporting and non-compliance and incorrect disclosures are also part of the bill.
Timsy, many thanks. Up next on India Business Hour, Prime Minister Modi is on his way to the US. He's scheduled to meet President Trump at the White House tomorrow. That and more when we return. And you can catch all of CNBC-TV18's news and updates on Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram and JioCinema. Prime Minister Modi has concluded his visit to France. The Prime Minister inaugurated a new consulate in France's Marseille, paid homage to fallen Indian soldiers at a cemetery dedicated to World War II martyrs. India and France have signed 10 agreements on tech, nuclear energy and innovation during the Prime Minister's one-on-one meeting with French President Macron. And the Prime Minister has now emplaned the flight to Washington, D.C. He's scheduled to meet President Trump at the White House tomorrow. The Prime Minister will be the fourth head of state to meet President Trump after he returned to the White House. Parikshit Luthra joins us now from Washington, D.C. with what's on the agenda. Parikshit, the civil nuclear energy between India and US was signed in 2005 and the commercial contract has not taken off yet. What change can we expect during this visit?
Collaboration on civil nuclear energy will be a priority when Donald Trump and Prime Minister Modi meet here in Washington, D.C. Prime Minister Modi is likely to outline in his meetings that the union budget recently announced a 20,000 crore program or nuclear energy mission, and India wants to have 100 gigawatts of nuclear energy by 2047. As this is a priority for us, we are willing to make changes to the Atomic Energy Act in India, our domestic laws, including the Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage Act of 2010, which US companies had been so opposed to because of a very high degree of liability for companies investing and manufacturing in India. So India is going to say that we are going to reduce the level of liability, have limited liability for companies which are investing in the nuclear energy sector in India. Important to point out that India and France have signed a declaration of intent on having a partnership in small modular reactors and also advanced modular reactors. Similarly, Prime Minister Modi would want US and India to have a collaboration, a public-private partnership on small modular nuclear reactors as part of the larger US-India initiative on critical and emerging technology. Let's see what happens on that front, but it is going to be a priority for India to clinch such an agreement, a collaboration, because we would like the likes of Westinghouse, GE, Hitachi to come and invest in India in the nuclear energy sector in a big way.
Parikshit, many thanks, and we will get you the biggest voices from the Prime Minister Modi's US trip through this week right here on CNBC-TV18. Parikshit will join us live, bringing us all the minute-by-minute updates. Meanwhile, the director of JSW Steel, Parth Jindal, said a 25% tariff is a positive for the company's subsidiary in the US. Speaking to Ritu on the sidelines of the Invest Karnataka Summit, Jindal said the tariffs will hurt countries including South Korea and Brazil that are already subject to a lot of exemptions. Take a look.
For JSW USA, in fact, this is a very positive announcement. We are very excited because there were a lot of exemptions given to Korea, given to Brazil, which were bringing steel into the US, and now all of that is going to be hit by 25% tariffs. I think India is waiting for Tesla to come in. I'm waiting for Tesla to come in as well. We need EV penetration in this country to increase.
Well, that's Parth Jindal. Here's the latest from Gaza, where the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is on thin ice. Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu has threatened that his military will resume intense fighting in the Strip if Hamas does not return hostages on Saturday. The threat follows Hamas's indication that it may delay the release, as it claims that Israel has violated key provisions of the truce. Meanwhile, Hamas says its delegation has landed in the Egyptian capital of Cairo to discuss the implementation of the agreement with Egyptian mediators.
Last night, I ordered the military to gather forces inside and around the Gaza Strip. This operation is being carried out at this time. It will be completed in the near future. If Hamas does not return our hostages by Saturday afternoon, the ceasefire will end and the military will return to intense fighting until Hamas is finally defeated.
Well, that's the latest there on the talks on in Gaza. But with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. Thanks very much for watching. The news will continue right here on CNBC-TV18. Stay tuned. We're back in a moment.